Good morning, YouTube. I hope you are doing well. Welcome back. Week number 2 of the spring holiday cut. Is that what I'm calling it? I think that's what I'm calling it. So, how's the lighting on this? It's suitable. So, weekly average I would have put on screen somewhere, but weight is coming down pretty quick. I'm going to do the usual, any adjustments made in terms of the training plan, and talk about that in a moment. But we are well into the groove of our fat loss diet, and it is going pretty fucking swimmingly so far. Pretty textbook, which is good. Main challenges at the moment is a little bit of food focus, a little bit of hunger, energy towards the end of my week or off the back of my busiest, most stressful days is a little bit low. Like recovery, I've noticed, is just a little bit worse. But again, all of these things are expected in a dieting phase, right? So you should be going into that knowing that this is what is going to happen. And as I happen to know a thing or two about getting lean and losing body fat, I knew all of these things were going to happen. I've done it before. I've got that experience. So thus far, nothing too bad. So it is Sunday. It is actually the end of the week. You probably would have already seen a session, an upper session, pull session earlier in the week for the intro of the video. I think that's what I will have used. I just want to take you through my Sunday. On the agenda, we've got bike repair, into shooting a little bit of short form content, into maybe some FIFA, into going and training, and then I may or may not food prep at the end of today. I may do it tomorrow, but I might do it today. There's a bit of a wind down. But first on the agenda is bike repair, and it's a bit of a meme that my bike just fucking breaks all of the time, because it basically does. It's a piece of shit. So we need to go and replace the inner tube because it is gone again. And of course, the weather, for once, in the UK has actually been pretty nice the last week. And naturally, the one time I need to go and stand out in the garden, the weather is pretty piss poor. In fact, it's actually raining. Is the camera going to survive? Fuck it, we'll find out. I feel like a job like this calls for a cup of tea. Builders, of course, strong, 1 sugar, milky. Oh, and by 1 sugar, I mean 1 sweetener, because we're dieting. We still get away with a little splash of milk for now, in 1 mug a day, but only 1. Don't be fucking around. So I wonder what the state of the bike is. Let's go and have a look. Look in there, and look, nice and flat. So that is the bike repaired. New inner tube fits. Fingers crossed this one lasts. I've left the shed open. Back in a sec. The fucking shed's open. That's better. Right. Yes, that is the bike repaired, which is pretty good because that is how I'm getting around most of the time these days. Mainly because it's the cheapest thing. It gets my cardio in, which means I don't have to do cardio. I don't have to schedule in cardio because it just happens, right? So that's that done. I think I'm going to go to the laptop and see what else needs doing today, right? Because we've got maybe an hour to an hour and a half before Suki gets here to shoot a little bit of short form, and then you'll be training after that. Still running push-pull legs upper lower for the moment. Training is going well. Maybe we should go to do the adjustments.
So let's have a look at the last week and what changes would take place in terms of the data, right? So if we zoom in a little bit so we can see this a little bit better. So, bless. Last week, or we can even go to the week before, right? So we had a high. Let's just kind of look at the data, yeah? So we had 194, 193, 191, little drop there, 191, 191, if we round up 192, 191, okay? So it's coming down nicely, 189, well, essentially 190, 190, 190, 188, 189.6, 188. So we're kind of, you can kind of see, right, if you're going to be really vigilant, right? And the only way that you can be really vigilant is by having a lot of data, e.g. basically a once a day fasted weigh-in. That's the only way you can really be vigilant. But we can kind of see as we progress here that this is like the beginning of a stall right at the end of this week, because we're basically kind of sitting around that sort of 189 average, right? So what we did last week was we just very simply pulled another 50 gram of carb. This time we just pulled all of the carbs out of one meal, right, for simplicity's sake. And this also means that we get a good, essentially, injection of carbs still, another 4 times of the day. Obviously, another way you could have done this is pull a handful of carbs from different meals, but this is a very simplistic way, and it's also very, very easy to implement, right? We just don't add rice to one of the meals, okay? Sometimes, optimal, this is pretty optimal, but optimal and also ease, and how easy this process is to follow. That's kind of 2 things you need to think about in conjunction, right? But that should work pretty well. And as we can see, as we come into this week, we had a high last week of 190.2, and this week we've already seen a 186.2, which is sensational. So weight is dropping really, really well. It's responding really, really well. In terms of energy last week, you can see there's been the occasional low, but generally, overall, an average in terms of our recovery, sort of sitting around 6.4 out of 7, so it's not amazing, but it could be a lot worse. And as you can see, training day is still nice and consistent. In terms of training progression, I think across the board we're mostly maintaining, occasionally losing a few reps on certain movements, as you can see, like on my upper day. Some progression still on leg day, which is really good to see, and just shows that there's definitely no need at this point, at this early phase, at this early point in the diet, there's absolutely no reason to refeed, deload, nothing needs changing, right? Everything's going really, really well. And it's only upon evaluation and looking back at this information that you can really tell that, right? Something that a lot of people are guilty of is making decisions in their training journey based off of emotion and feel. E.g., I feel really, really fucked up. I feel really, really hungry. I feel like I need to recover. This is not useless information, because it's still information that even alongside performance data I will use. But if your performance is still improving in the gym, that's literally definitive proof in terms of the numbers that actually, you're in a position where your body's still responding, you're still taking progress, right? Even though I might have felt pretty hungry, even though I might have felt my energy was pretty poor on some days, the data is backing up that actually it's a bit of a fight at the moment between feeling and data. If you get to a point where both feeling and data is telling you negatives, or it's telling you that your energy is poor, or you're losing, your strength is starting to really fall off the end of the, it's really starting to plummet and no other changes have been made, and then sure, like at that point, yes, you want to look at it and really evaluate for yourself, is this a point in which we do need a refeed, a point in which we do need a deload, we do need a break. But for the most part, you have to look at the information and the data. I'll also obviously put before and after, 2 weeks before and after. It's not before and after because it's just 2 weeks of the process, but you can already see within the visual photos that we are now leaning down, which is really, really good. So anything else to note? Yeah, cardio, keeping that consistent, steps very high for me because I have a job where I get a lot of movement in, which doesn't make it easier. But yes, there's still no excuse when it comes to steps. Appetite, as you can see, I'd say like it's sitting average, right? It's not low. There's a couple of days where it's high, but generally it's okay, right? And interestingly, the high days are on the same day, which is my long work day, right? You see how that coincides? You can start, and this is the beautiful thing about tracking data, is you begin to see patterns. You begin to see days that are challenging, days that are problematic, right? One thing that I do really like is if we go just a few weeks back, resting heart rate basically in the low 50s, and if we come to today, or this week, 49, 45, 48, it's like literally dropped way down, which I think is really, really good. That's just a sign of a better functioning system. But yeah, I think that's everything to know. You'll see again, my training days are so consistent, they do not change week to week, so much so that I just copy them forwards because I know I'm going to do it on that day, right? So yeah, how many times I shit? Saturday was weirdly a free shit day. It's been very consistently a 1 or a 2, but it was a free shit day. That's the only other thing to note. But yeah, so again, changes made just to drop a 50 gram of carb right from one meal. That's all the changes that's needed, and that's already elicited such a huge drop this week. So we'll continue doing that. And yeah, no other changes needed as of right now, but we stay vigilant, right? If performance drops off, if I start to feel really, really fucked up, then we can look at things. But for now, it's just slowly pulling carbs away. We'll keep pulling carbs away so that scale weight keeps coming down and the visual is looking better. Not quite daily, because we're not at that phase yet, but definitely weekly. It's looking better. Sorry.
What team should we pick? Diggy, you tell us.
We need to make sure we pick a balanced team.
I mean, if he's Atletico Madrid.
Nah, just to give us 2 teams.
I'll do something different. Let's play 2 really shit teams.
Huh?
Someone
We did the last one, didn't we?
But yeah, well,
let's play as 2 dreadful teams.
The hype has been building all week, and we're just moments away from kickoff time. Stay tuned for the live action.
I didn't get breakfast in because I was tired. What the fuck?
Because the alternate player is yellow as well.
This is what I was saying.
But it happens with the red as well, though, when you don't have possession.
I can't fucking see already.
Hey, relax.
So, good evening YouTube. I'm going to try and use this extractor fan light as lighting so that you can see my face. So, just got back from lower, successful session, as with most sessions at the minute. 1 or 2 sets that I'm somehow managed to get an extra rep on, most of them maintained. There was, I think, a set of calves that I lost a rep on. So still generally maintaining. Now, it is 9:20 on a Sunday evening. This is where that little bit of that discipline muscle is gonna be flexed, because I just wanna fucking lie down, watch a bit of YouTube, maybe stick a film on, maybe have a wank. I wanna do that, have a cup of tea. To be honest, I really wanna sit back with a beer. That'd be lovely. But I order a Domino's, right? That is, set the scene. But instead what we're gonna do, I'm gonna do my laundry. I'm gonna do my meal prep. Like a good citizen, like a good stay-at-home husband. I'm gonna do that because if I don't do that, and if I don't prep my food, I'm not ahead of my week. And then what happens? I miss meals, I go off plan. If you want the results, you must live the lifestyle. Now, one of the reasons that I love this lifestyle so much is not because it's disciplined, it's not because it's hard, it's not because it's tedious. Those are all reasons that I don't want to do it, right? Everyone talks about how great it is to be disciplined and how great it is to be this. Let's talk about the fact that it's pretty shit, right? It's not the thing that your monkey brain wants to do immediately, is it? Because what my monkey brain wants to do is go and smash an extra large Domino's pizza, have a wank, and drink a load of beer. But I can't do that. But if we can quiet the impulse and the monkey brain that wants to do that, and if we can make the right decisions, if we can begin to implement structure and routine, which over time becomes discipline, we realize that actually that makes us feel pretty fucking good. It makes us look pretty fucking good. And that is how I will continue to show up as my best self. That wouldn't happen if I always caved into the vices. We can indulge a little bit, right? You can have an occasional voice here and there. For me though, these 12 weeks of dieting calls for a period where those vices they don't exist, right? I've still got some vices. I scroll sometimes. I sometimes take a lie-in. I sometimes slack off a little bit of my part-time job. Whatever it is, right? There's still some degree of vice. But for right now, we're lacking, right? So, in order to keep feeling better and looking better, let's get into the food prep. That is actually one thing that I really quickly do want to touch on, and that is how quickly I've actually begun to feel better after starting to diet. Now, I've only been dieting for 2 and a bit weeks, right, which isn't particularly a long commitment, and yes, I've done things as close to textbook and perfect as I can. However, in as little as those 2 weeks, my resting heart rate has come down by about 10 beats on average, right, which I'm not going to necessarily feel, but that's pretty good. My sleep has vastly improved. I found that I'm feeling and waking up rested, energetic. My libido is even higher, if you know what I mean. Just generally how I feel day to day, I'm finding that I'm not crashing in the afternoon. My energy is just pretty consistent. It's pretty good. Naturally, as the diet continues to progress and as I get leaner, this is going to follow a little bit of a bell curve, and it's going to begin to sort of plateau and then actually get worse. But for those of you that aren't necessarily trying to get shredded or just trying to live a better lifestyle, right, cutting out junk food, implementing cardio, making sure I get my steps, doing all of these simple things, right? How I feel right now compared to 2 weeks ago is night and day. I'm more productive. Actually ticking the boxes, I'm locked in again, right? And I haven't changed anything about my routine. I've just stopped doing as much of the bad shit as I was doing, right? And that's available to everybody watching this. So think about it, because it feels good. Ooh, drop the shoulder. Oh. It's like when people talk about having like brain fog or like struggling to think, or they just don't quite, that energy, that snappiness, and like even on camera, right, my ability to articulate my thoughts and speak, it's just coming, and I don't stutter, and I don't need to think, I don't need to pause, it's just all coming out, and it's cohesive, and it's making sense, and it's fucking sick. You see this? The brain is firing on all cylinders. Why? Because I'm looking after myself. Would you believe it?